history about Halls Island is actually very unique. Halls Island used to exist back as early as 1895 when it was first identified on some of the first mapping for the city of Minneapolis. And for a while there, they actually had constructed a bathhouse on the island, and so citizens in the city could come and recreate there and gain access to the river. And so that kind of was a part of the reason why we wanted to recreate Halls Island, was going to bring back a piece of history.
RiverFirst is an initiative by the Park Board started back in 2011 and 2012 to kind of reorient the upper portion of the city from downtown to the northern border back towards the river. So what we saw is there's a lot of industry either still on the river or sort of leaving that upper riverfront, and Halls Island, which used to be an island and was filled in, was a possibility to recreate that island and have this area of land really set aside mainly for habitat. It also helps restore some of the function of the waterway. And so RiverFirst was a goal for the Park Board and other partners to really try to capitalize on the opportunity of industry leaving the river and to take the land as it becomes available and make sure that there is public access, green space, restoration of the environmental corridor, and a place for people along the river.
Several partners came together to help actually get to the point where we are today. The Minneapolis Park Board did partner with MWMO, Mississippi Watershed Management Organization, and as well as the Minneapolis Parks Foundation to really kind of be three of the main driving forces behind this project. And so in 2010, the Minneapolis Park Board went ahead and purchased the roughly 11-acre site here that has been known for many years as Scherer Brothers Lumber Company.
So it's not every day that you get to build an island in the Mississippi River, and with that come unique engineering challenges. When we started construction of the island, the site was a flat, grassy meadow. And so the first thing we started to do was excavate the soil that was here and got it down close to the water surface elevation. And we exported all that material off-site. And then we dug the channel underneath the bridge, and we proceeded digging the channel upriver. We hauled about 4,000 dump truck loads of soil from this site to a landfill, and then we imported about 31,000 tons of clean sand to build the island. And then we were able to reuse about 10,000 cubic yards of on-site soil to build the island above the waterline. In the design and construction of the island, we incorporated a lot of bioengineering techniques. One of those techniques is what's called a log vein. It's when you take fairly large diameter logs, bury them in the bank of the river, and those logs act to deflect flow from the edges, so it reduces erosion, but at the same time it creates habitat under the logs as they protrude for fish, for turtles. And then all along the edge, all the way around the island and up and down the shoreline, there's what's called live stakes. And those are just dogwoods and other shrubs that you'd naturally find along the river stuck into the bank. And then once they get wet, they will start to grow. And then the whole edges of the island and the shoreline will be covered in shrubs, which is ideal habitat for many songbirds.
Well, our goals for building out habitat for wildlife in this area would be to have those animals that once lived here re-inhabit the place. So that would be things like beaver, muskrat, otter, but also fox and deer, eagles, songbirds of all kinds that use this as a corridor for a flyway. And then once you get in the river, we're also hoping that fish and mussel will come back.
The island's primary function is for habitat. Eventually people will have access out to the island, but with limited ability to roam about the island. So the side channel of the island has a substrate in the bottom that's ideal for mussels. In addition, there's logs on the shoreline for turtles to sun on. There's sandy areas of the island that the turtles can lay eggs. And eventually when the trees grow up, we hope to attract a lot of species of birds.
Halls Island is going to be a great example of the Park Board and what the vision for the Park Board is. It's not only a place for people to come and to gather and to recreate, but we also want to be mindful of, nature and preserving nature and protecting as much as possible. And Halls Island really, for us, when we think about it, is about habitat and creating habitat. We are providing access to the river for people to come and gain that access that they might not have, but it's really about transforming what used to be a very hard-edged portion of the river and tripling the shoreline that currently used to be here into what is there now, and it's a much softer edge.
Well, I hope the story of this 50 years from now is that you have a fishable, swimmable river, and that also allows all those mussel, fish, invertebrates, eagles to fish without getting sick, that is actually in place. When we do habitat restoration, we're actually looking at it as a water quality improvement. So when you've developed good habitat where you've held those soils in place, you have the benefit of those plants uptaking water. The soils will filter it. The soils will be held in place because of the vegetative root systems and whatnot. That's particularly true along the edges or on the riverbank, because the more we can hold those in place, the better off we are.
It's really exciting to see a lot of the stakeholders come together with this as their goal to try and say, we want to do these improvements, we want to make better parks, we want to make a better river corridor, but how can we make sure that it's really serving the people who live here now, who've been so underserved by the parks and the river corridor for decades at this point, to make sure that they get the benefits of it. That's one of the most exciting things.
I think when I look back at my involvement on this project, I think one of the things that I'm most pleased with is just the fact that we were able to recreate history. That something that used to exist that was wiped away is now back, and it's stronger, and it's going to be a dominant piece in the city of Minneapolis for many years to come, a much longer time than the island used to exist.